All right, we are back at Youmacon 2014, StarCraft 2, Wingnet SC and Gallegation.
That's right.
We are getting ready to move into our next match as soon as our camera gets unblurry here.
If only we could stop the autofocus.
Fix your microphone.
Okay. If only I could fix my microphone and we could stop the autofocus,
Come
we
on,
might
camera.
actually have a good show here.
Yeah.
At
There
any
it goes.
rate.
There it goes. Just move
For
up
the
a little
moment.
closer.
Okay.
We're by the way, we're on the wobbliest stage
It
ever.
really is quite wobbly.
If we move at all, it feels like it's going to fall over, so we have to be very careful. But we are about to get into our next match, which is going to be HBOL, which we just saw a few minutes ago, versus Poizon.
That's right. And as I understand it, Poizon gets coached by Desro.
Yep, as a matter of fact, he's sitting right behind her as we speak.
Yep. So they're deliberating on what builds she should choose or something like that, and fixing sound and getting into lobbies and all sorts of good things.
But before we go too far, we want to take a big moment, or a little moment, for a big thing, and the big thing is Mythologic. They've been super awesome in just about every event that we've participated in.
Yeah.
And they have done the same for this. They've come out to sponsor the broadcast here this evening by adding $250 to the prize pool, which has allowed us to pay a grand total of 6 players. So top 6 today are getting paid cash money, as well as the top 3 will be going home with some pretty sweet Razer mice and mouse pads and t-shirts and all kinds of good stuff. So big thanks to Mythologic. We definitely encourage you to go to mythologic.com and check out some of their stuff. They got some new, really awesome laptops. They are a system builder. They make some pretty high-performance gaming machines, kind of. I would compare them to some others, but you can't really compare them. They're pretty awesome machines. They also operate a LAN center called Digital Ops here near Detroit, St. Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti. If you go to Twitter, you can find Mythologic at Mythologic, and also I believe it's Digital Ops. So I think if you search for that, you'll find it. I think it's got an underscore in there somewhere. But if you're in those regions, definitely check that out. Also, a big thanks to Mythologic. We encourage you to check out their stuff. They are some pretty cool guys, and we'll be talking more about them as the day goes on.
Yep.
But right now, we have a lobby and a game, and people that have said they are
starting to ready. Yes. The readying of ups.
Boom. Make sure, verify, confirm everyone's ready, because I see one ready.
Oh, we got to wait. Okay.
Poizon is asking us to wait for a moment while she figures out some map things, but in the meantime, it is a very freaking cold day here in Detroit.
Yeah, we had some snow yesterday, and I mean, we got here yesterday to set up a little bit early, and this is in the rent center. There's a hotel, and it goes up very high. You know, there's like 100 floors, 100 stories, or something like that. So we're in the high rise, and I got to tell you, man, I thought the building was going to be blown over. The
Last
wind.
night, trying to sleep, it was like a hurricane.
Yeah, it felt like trying to sleep in a wind tunnel. It was crazy. I mean, you couldn't feel the wind, but you could certainly hear it. It was a little nuts.
And it was so cold that when we woke up this morning, water. I thought it had rained out because the outside of this building is all glass. It's 5 giant glass towers, and all the glass is single pane. I assume it's really thick. At least I hope so. But the inside was literally running down water with this cold wind coming against it, and was making pools on the floor. It seems like a design flaw, but it's not my job.
Well, it looks like we do need to remake this lobby. There's a little bit of confusion with the map vetoing system, so we're going to redo that very quickly, and then we'll be right back with that.
Well, while we're waiting, we're on the SC2CTL Twitch channel, which is something that we've kind of grown over the years into kind of a real thing. We had 2 seasons of a team league that encompassed North America and Europe at one point.
Yeah, we had some really big names out last year, some cool teams, and I think we were able to cast with Grubby, and let's see, who else did we cast with?
In Control.
In Control was on, yeah.
Yeah, so if you go out to youtube.com/WingnutStarCraft, you'll see all the VODs from previous SC2CTL things. We also, we're pretty much the faces of SC2CTL. You see the chat going on. That's Troy. He is the SC2CTL god, as you would call him. He does all the things.
The Wizard of Oz,
make things
so to
happen.
speak.
Yeah.
The man behind the curtain. So shout out to him. It looks like we need to jump into that next. You need to get out of that.
I need to get out, man. I am screwing this up. So yeah, this is our 2nd year here at Youmacon. It's been a pretty awesome experience.
Yeah, I got to say that I think that like the setup overall is better this year than it was last year.
Yeah, and I was a little worried because the room is actually half the size.
Yeah, they split it in half, but it actually is working out really well. The flow is really good, and there's a ton of people here.
Yeah. Absolutely, and as you can see from our crowd cam, there's lots of cosplay going on, which is always, I mean, I'm a huge people watcher. I enjoy just sitting and watching people, and what better place to do it than a place where everyone's dressing up like all kinds of crazy stuff. If I flip to the camera now, you see several of our players out there are dressed. Oh, he's just off camera.
Dancer's just out.
Dancer, move to the left, or to the right. To the right. Yeah. Or no, you with the stick. You.
We're trying to get you in the frame.
Yeah, don't run away. Yeah, see, this is one of our StarCraft players. He even came out for the day and dressed up to show his StarCraft spirit.
Yeah. He is so done with that. All right.
He's super excited about it.
Thank you.
I think okay, I did the right thing. I thought I hit the wrong thing. All right, so we switched maps, and we're getting this back going. I'm not a stalker. What are you talking about?
You like to people watch.
I do.
You like to creeper watch.
It's
in the windows.
You know, it's just something you got to do with stuff like this. There's some really, I mean, the time, money, everything that some people have put into these costumes is absolutely incredible. I mean,
really is. Yeah.
Some of these seem just like super wow. But one of our players here, Poizon, she's dressed up in cosplay this afternoon also. Hopefully we'll be able to get an interview with her and
our
players.
Yeah, I think Zero Suit Stamus cosplay is what that
really
one
cool
is.
Stuff. I think we're all set now. HBOL says ready. Poizon says ready. So let's get this show on the road, so to speak, as we get into Overgrowth with HBOL versus Team Gravity's Poizon, apparently. Yeah. I just noticed that.
Indeed.
Big fans of Team Gravity. Cast them a lot in the SC2 CTL seasons. I haven't found the trick for this camera. We found that when we were doing our other things, if we... Oh, there it is. There it is.
That autofocus.
Boom.
All right.
But anyways, it doesn't matter because we are now in the game. In the upper right-hand corner of Overgrowth, it is going to be our red Protoss, and her name is Poizon.
And in the bottom left-hand corner, the gentleman that was unfortunate in the last series did not pull it out, but has another chance to come back in. It is HBOL.
So you haven't deduced on your own. This is a loser bracket match that we'll be seeing here.
Yeah, we switched. We just jumped kind of to the bottom half of the bracket now, so you can see that if you go to the brackets page. And I think that there's a MooBot that'll get you there, but we are in match X.
Exclamation point bracket. Get it done.
Yep. So that's where we're at right now.
So we saw HBOL, definitely a big bio player. I'm assuming that Desro, given that he's been a big coach of Poizon's, has kind of advised her of some things that she may want to watch out for, but we'll see. We definitely saw some variety out of HBOL last match, which was interesting. Changing it up quite a bit, going for a pretty risky, very quick expand to start it off, and then going for more of the Reaper play. It looks like we're going to see the Reaper play here as the gas is going down with the barracks pretty early. Poizon building towards the back of her base, which is, I kind of like that against Terran because it kind of protects her stuff a little bit from the Reapers and early Marines or drops that may come along. Gateway and gas going down, sending out a probe to scout around the map. I'm just happy to see Protoss at Youmacon, man. Because like we mentioned last year, I think it was like round 2 and the Protoss were just done. They just like, you know what, we're out. And it was all Terran and Zerg, as we had mentioned earlier in the day.
2-minute 30, good luck, have fun. That's an interesting strategy.
It is. It usually is an indication of cheese, but I don't think that is going to be happening here as the Reaper is on its way out. Probe coming in to see what's up. 3 workers mining gas, so probably a fairly similar build that we saw before. Probably going to see an in-base command center here at some point. Probe just kind of hanging out, checking out that gas, looking around, and HBOL on the lookout as well for things that may be going on in Poizon's base. So far, just 1 gas and Cybercore going down in the back.
Mm-hmm. So that probe is once again trapped, or HBOL once again traps the probe anyway in the main base. And the Reapers decided to go and try and hunt that down before going anywhere else.
Yeah, that's actually slowing down the scouting quite a bit for HBOL.
He does have an SCV in the main of Poizon.
Ah, yes, there that is. It looks like Poizon going to be going for an expand here as her money is quickly approaching 400, and she has sent a probe out to the natural expand area, so looking for a little bit of a macro opening. It seems like that's a little bit easier to do here, as you know the Mothership Core gives you a little bit more defense early. You can maybe a little bit more risky, especially with those Reapers going around. But it is going to be coming into the base here, hopping up all the cliffs. Oh, bunker going down. Poizon doing a good job to force that cancel, now trying to shoo away that Reaper, and that will be the end of that as the Mothership Core now comes out.
And he's going to lose that. Oh, not quite. That SCV, it looks like it's going to be able to get away there.
Oh, Troy has now made a multi-stream page, so you can watch multiple streams at the same time while still tuning into Youmacon this afternoon. We are definitely going to have a good series of events here going on, so we definitely recommend you stay with us. The Reaper comes back up into Poizon's base. HBO, yeah, Poizon. Woo! Mothership Core chasing after it, but that Reaper is just mostly just on a scouting mission here.
So back at home in HBOL's base, he does have quite a few Marines queued up, and is getting a mine out of his factory, building that starport. So it looks like we could see a similar mine drop as we saw in the previous match.
So real quick in chat, let us know who you're rooting for. If you want Poizon to win, type hashtag Team Poizon. If you would like HBOL to win, type hashtag Team HBOL if you want to be complete. HBOL kind of doing similar things here. He did the last game we just saw. The starport's finishing up, second Widow Mine on the way, so likely we're going to see a Widow Mine drop here going on. And the big trick will be to see how Poizon deals with that. Obviously, there's a lot of ways that can go horrible, and a lot of ways that can go not so horrible.
2 gateways being added on to Poizon's arsenal, and is generating more probes, trying to get that natural up to speed. In the meantime, HBOL is getting a command center in the in-base command center he built.
Looks like based on the chat response, Team Poizon is highly favored over Team everything else. It's quite a variety. Lots of things I didn't even suggest as an option, but that's okay. Poizon definitely has the income advantage here. If you look at the income, it is about 100 to 200 minerals more per minute, but double the gas of HBOL. So HBOL may be going for a bit more of a simple bio army, while Poizon is going to be teching here a little bit harder. The mine drop is on the way. It's halfway across the map, picked up and going on. She does not have a whole lot here in base to deal with it. She needs to warp in a couple stalkers to get that Mothership Core around somewhere on the right side to be able to deal with that, while the Marines and Reapers here just kind of staking out the towers. One thing I do see that was a big advantage last time was these observers, man. These observers paid off big time in previous games, so against HBOL, so that could prove to be useful.
There are only 2 on the map, one going across the map, one staying out in front of the natural there. HBOL kind of hanging out, and now that mine drop is going in, and
oh, one failed hit there as the probe went into the gas, so that worked out very well for Poizon. There are a lot of Marines here doing quite a bit of damage against this Stalker and Sentry. Mothership Core needs to come down and help, but the Stalker was in the back taking some shots at the medevac.
Those Marines are taking some damage, but trying to move forward now, and oh, the photon overcharge goes down and is going to force these Marines back. Oh, it might just kill them all, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great reaction by Poizon there. She did a really good job of handling that. She did have to evacuate her main base and has lost a couple more probes here as these mines are still here. But they have not done a whole lot of damage. There is that observer over them now, so she should be able to take them out as the stalkers will outrange them.
So the first one is going down, and HBOL did reposition one of those mines to try and get another shot off and give the illusion, I guess, that the mine had been killed.
Hopefully she notices that other mine. Oh, okay, there it goes. I was like, oh my gosh. I remember a Carbot episode where he actually made an episode about it where he moved a bunch of probes back to a base that he thought he cleared the mine out of, and they realized it wasn't gone. So now she's heavily oversaturated on her natural expansion, needs to move a lot of those probes back to the main base. I'm sure she'll get to that shortly here as the bio of HBOL is getting ready to go. Supplies fairly even, 68 to 63 currently. So no real clear advantage here. Keep in mind that Poizon did get her natural expansion a little bit sooner, but was not able to mine off of her main base there for a few minutes. +1/+1 going down for both players. I'm sorry, actually just +1 for HBOL as Combat Shield is about to finish up, as well as Stim shortly behind.
And he's gearing up for another push out. There is an observer right on top of that armory, so it's seeing just about everything that's going on right there.
Yeah.
The other observer has repositioned to try and engage any drops that would happen, and there is still that medevac that's heavily damaged in the back of the natural base.
Poizon does have a Colossus out. She has not researched extended thermal lances yet, so that will be a factor here as the Colossus will be able to be hit since it doesn't have that. Hopefully getting to that soon. +1/+1 should finish up before HBOL's army does show up here. Second Colossus coming out, +1/+1, as we said, still on the way. +1 also going to finish up for HBOL as well as Stim.
So he's gearing up, getting ready to push in as soon as Stim is done. It has finished, so he is moving in.
+1 now completing for Poizon as she's about to engage this. The Zealot's taking a lot of damage to HBOL, microing them back, but the Colossus getting quite a bit of work done, even without extended thermal lances.
Really good mine shot there on the Zealots, took out most of the shields, so that meat shield is quite taken care of, but they decide to move back to their respective corners and take a little bit of a mid-round break.
Poizon's observer still is here outside of her main base. Looks like it got separated from the army it was following. She needs to remember that this mine is out here because it's off of cooldown here, and she's about to walk right over the top of it.
So 2 Colossus, not a whole lot of support there for the Colossus. It could be troublesome here.
Well, oh, nice. Okay, so one looks like a probe came out, took the hit, so she knows that's still there. The nice thing, though, is that this observer is still at the natural ramp of HBOL, so she knows that there's not been any reinforcements, at least on the ground. So that's good, and she knows that she doesn't have to push out too much. But HBOL looks like he does not have the forces to take this, so he's going to go ahead, pull on back. Extended thermal lances is now half done, as well as blink. So I'm really liking the army composition we're seeing here out of Poizon.
HBOL did some tricky maneuvering with that mine as well, as he kind of had a feeling that Poizon would be trying to take care of it. He repositioned it and is in a strategic position now if he were to be attacked.
Look at the supplies here, Gallegation. We were talking about it being fairly even there for a while. I feel like that push out by HBOL really kind of slowed down his production a bit, as the supply is now 120 to 91. And if we look at the army value is actually almost double for HBOL, which is kind of ironic.
Poizon is trying to expand to that third base to get back into that production, as you said, as the differential continues to climb a little bit.
HBOL did a little juke here. The observer of Poizon is right out front, and HBOL going off to the left, so Poizon's not going to be super aware that this army is going towards her third base. It's the first lapse in intel we've seen so far, Gallegation.
That's right, so now these bio forces are moving in to try and take this third base. Is the cancel going to get gotten? Yes, it does.
So now it looks like Poizon's perfectly fine with sacrificing that base, doesn't really want to take that fight yet, waiting for yet another Colossus to join the fray. The supply is still growing here for Poizon. She's continuing to gain a little bit of an advantage as +1 armor is about to finish up for HBOL, but right shortly behind it is +2 attack and +2 shields for Poizon, so she's staying right ahead of the Poizon upgrades of the upgrades there.
HBOL has added a few Vikings to his army, but that observer being right there, it is well known what is there.
Wow, Poizon really going for the upgrade, just chrono boosting +3 attack here, as well as Storm. So going for a bit of an opposite build that we saw earlier, but I still like it, getting the Colossus first and then the High Templar, as opposed to the Templar first and then the Colossus. But it seems like there's a little bit of indecision here from HBOL as he moved all the way back to his base, picked up a few buddies, and is now starting to move back out here. He does have a good number of Vikings, though. It looks like there's about 4 or 5 there. Not enough to deal with the number of Colossus, but yeah, Poizon is starting to get closer to 200, so now is going to start to move her way across the map.
There are 2 High Templar on the field, and Storm is being researched there in a defensive position at the moment, and these 2 armies are kind of just... oh, he stopped right underneath that observer.
Yeah, she's totally saw that, totally changed the direction she was going. She has Zealot charge, so Zealot's going to come up and tank all the damage as the Colossus coming up, actually taking some shots at that mine. That actually helped out HBOL quite a bit, but oh, mine shots taking out all the Zealots. This is going to not go so good as the Bio army moving up, but still the Colossus cannot be overpowered.
But those Vikings are there, and there's not a whole lot left to do damage to it. She is going to lose a single Colossus there, and they are trying to book back home.
Yeah. So the army will eventually be taken out, but there are some slugs rotating on the Colossus walking forward, need to move back. And it looks like the Vikings are going to be able to be taken out and save 2 of those Colossus, which is huge for Poizon right now. And it looks like Gravatic Drive being researched too, so maybe we're going to see some Storm drops here.
And it looks like the army supply is actually evened out now after that engagement.
Yeah, HBOL has a lot of almost dead medevacs, too, if you notice. Oh, and the Blink Stalker's coming up. They sniff some blood there. Need one more Blink, maybe to... Oh, didn't quite get it. So...
that was a really good scan there. Did see the entire army. Poizon decided not to engage with that.
So there is a small force here of HBOL, and I'm going to be saying this all day. He's trying to bolt up this third base here, but I don't think he's going to be able to get it done as there are some Zealot Warpins, and he's going to just lift off and go away. But this did pull all of Poizon's army back to the third.
And it's a good thing that he got out of there when he did any longer, and he probably wouldn't have kept it. But Poizon has a sixth sense, kind of knows where he dropped off, and is going to try and take care of it. And, yeah, that whole group is going to be taken out and maybe even lose the medevacs here, too.
Yes, I'm really liking how Poizon's looking here, although, I mean, HBOL is not giving it up. He's producing 4 Vikings at a time, so that is going to definitely nullify those Colossus here pretty quick. But as we see that Poizon has moved into more of the High Templar type army, so once those Colossus go down, she will have that
as well, yes, indeed. So now more Bio is heading across the map, and he's going to try and get something done. And it looks like he's trying to avoid kind of the traditional attack paths because he knows that there's observers out on the field. Poizon's got some interesting...
Does he know observers are out on the field?
Well, maybe not. He hasn't. I mean, he hasn't scanned. I don't think he's scanned to kill a single one in either of his matches here.
Oh, there's a scan going down there. Oh, big load up. Big load up. Does Poizon see it? Does Poizon see it? She does. But what can she do about it? She has nothing back in her main base except 1 Colossus and a Mothership Core and a Photon Overcharge. And those medevacs, 1 medevac goes down, 2 medevac go down before it even drops.
And the Marauders that got left behind did get cleaned up, and these ones don't look like it's going to go much better for them. Another medevac goes down, 1 does get out and is fully loaded.
That was probably the best thing that could have possibly happened. That Photon Overcharge just going right after those medevacs.
And Poizon continuing to expand, realizing that she's continuing to gain leverage in this game. HBOL taking a 4th base also.
Yeah, but this 4th base is not going to last long. Planetary Fortress is about to finish up, but this army of Poizon is moving in after it. So far, we haven't seen any storms yet, but it hasn't really been the need. +3/+3, about half done. Shields has been started by Poizon as well. Zealots going after that Planetary Fortress. Colossus ravaging the SCV line around it, and it will fall.
And not a single survival was had there. 11 SCVs drop in that engagement.
Vikings are there to be able to squash these Colossus. Nice blink up by the Stalkers to try and shoot them away, but there are 3 mines right there. She needs to be really careful to do trigger.
Poizon deciding to go around another way, but honestly, she can just retreat home and be satisfied with that kind of damage. She took out a whole base. She's up a base on her opponent.
She's up a gold base on her opponent. Ooh. So things looking pretty well here, but still has Ghost now. Oh, I thought I saw Ghost. Not Ghost. But 3/3 is about to finish up for HBOL, as well as vehicle plating. There's quite a large number of medevacs here, but he's kind of stopped producing the Vikings as much. And he doesn't have, I mean, he's got quite a few here. He's got about 6 or so. Doesn't have a huge number, but also Poizon has been producing as many Colossus now, opting for more of the Zealot army as they do engage. Man, these charge lots without medevacs are just going to be able to ravage this army. That really is actually evening out the supply here, about 173 to 169. So we're gearing up here for a big fight here soon, Gallegation.
That's right, and it looks like HBOL is trying to move out. A single sentry does get picked off in the middle of the map, but Poizon is using that opportunity to try and cut through and deal with this. Oh my gosh, terrible positioning for HBOL here. And the Vikings doing what damage they can to these Colossus, but the Bio is forced to just run as quickly as it can. The Stalkers do come in, blink underneath the Vikings, and those get picked off as well. So now Poizon's forces are kind of sandwiched here, not able to get a whole lot done. They do try and drop into the main base, and they are going to be able to take out some structures, but not anything really all that key.
Yeah, a lot of gateways going down here, some gas mining. The space is pretty well mined out, but looks like the Stalkers are going to blink on in here, but they're going to be taken out pretty easily. Poizon just going for it, man. She's got some Templar here. They're going to be able to, actually, with a nice storm and some feedback, she could kill this entire army with just these Templar. Fantastic decision by Poizon, and now she's going for it at the 3rd base of HBOL. There are some mines there, but they triggered already, and the Zealots are still alive, moving right on in here.
HBOL does move in and takes that 4th gold expansion at the same time, so we've got a lot of damage going on either side of the map. There is a small force that still is in the main base of Poizon and is continuing to take down some of these gateways. The longer that those are able to do that, the worse off this is looking for the reinforcements of Poizon, but she is getting so much damage done down in the south end.
Mines all triggering on the Colossus. Yeah, these mines are definitely going to be in trouble here. There are more mines coming in, so Poizon definitely needs to be careful that she gets a single zealot out there or something to be able to tank those damage. But they aren't burrowed, so he's able to take some shots at them and get them back out of the way, so at least she knows they're there. Meanwhile, HBOL has taken out the 3rd base of Poizon as well, so there's quite an army still over on the other side.
And there's really not a whole lot of, virtually no mining happening right now.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter. This is base trade for the win, but there are a ton of Marauders here. Zealots keeping them busy so far, but the Colossus busy whacking away at that refinery. Yeah. Not the best target right now. These Stalkers need to be careful. They're a little bit exposed, but the Zealots still whacking away at the Marauders. But it looks like Poizon just focusing down this base.
Yeah, she wants to stop all mining that she possibly can and is taking out SCVs, while HBOL is forced back into his main base 100%. He's got nothing else left on the map except for that small army in the north trying to take out whatever he can from Poizon.
Poizon has to be super careful as these Colossus are a little bit exposed, and those are literally the key to her being able to win this. Does keep throwing away a few units up here up north as a few more Zealots come out and do a little bit more damage, although there are no medevacs left, so any damage that's taken on these units is permanent.
Oh man, what a storm there.
And any bit of damage she can do is definitely useful. She's just continuing to push on up through this, and actually HBOL really needs the rest of his army back at his main base because she's just going to continue pushing on up here. HBOL is kind of prevented from stimming at this point because he's basically killing himself.
Yeah, and I'm surprised more of these buildings aren't lifting, frankly. And now it looks like a couple of the barracks are going to lift up. But the Stalkers and Colossus are continuing to push forward slowly but surely, and now it looks like Poizon's last Nexus is destroyed.
Yeah, and
so she is revealed.
She doesn't have a lot left, and she doesn't have a lot of options, to be honest. Terran actually being able to fly his buildings away, and he did take out another Nexus. She was starting to, here comes the last big push from HBOL. The Colossus a little bit close to the Stalkers there, but the Colossus taking out those Marauders, but she has got to do something to be able to deal with the buildings of HBOL right now.
And more Colossus are making their way across the map, or those are the Templar. There is a Colossus on the original main base and a second one in production up there, so there will be a few more of those, but that's not going to be very helpful against flying buildings that she needs to get rid of.
Yeah, this is going to be a bit difficult as HBOL is mining here with mules. It's not a whole lot of income, and he doesn't really have any production structures that are doing anything right now as they're continuing to land throughout the map. And the basic Marines that he'll be able to make out of those won't really be too much of a fight for Poizon. So let's take a break. So advantages of HBOL is he's mining, he has some production, and advantages of Poizon is she has 4 Colossus, 2 Templar, and a number of Stalkers and Zealots. So
wow. Oh my goodness, there's a small engagement in the north part of the map. There is a Colossus that survived with 2 HP.
Wow.
And did take out all the Marauders that are on the north end, so there literally is like no army supply here. There is a single mine and 2 Marines on this map for HBOL right now.
Looking at the vision of Poizon, she just doesn't really have any idea where he is, but she is moving directly towards him because honestly there's not much of an option. It has to be somewhere along the top or the bottom because she's got pretty good spread out vision throughout the time, and he's going to lift up his structure. She might be able to force a stalemate here. I do not think she will be able to straight up win just because of the flying structures, and I don't think she has enough Stalkers to really deal with them until they can fly away. But I predict that either will be a stalemate or HBOL will eventually give it up. And there's a GG. So good job for Poizon there. Yeah. That was I was about to have to start up the postulation machine to see ideas of what was going to happen there, because I really, for a moment, it was looking really good for HBOL because he had some production, but he kind of wasn't super wise with the units he had left. And, I mean, let's be honest, the damage output of Poizon there was a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the only buildings that HBOL was able to get out of his main base were the barracks. Yeah. And the barracks are only going to be able to produce bio, which, guess what, are weak against Colossus. And she had like 6 to 8 of those things. Yeah. She had so many. So throwing away a lot of Marauders to 2 Colossus in the north base, that was really a bad day for him. Yeah. And if he had been able to kind of regroup continue to mine and be able to get a starport out and start producing some Vikings, that might have gone a little bit better for him. But as it is, was not able to pull that one out. Poizon comes up 1-0 in this series.
And honestly, I was really surprised that HBOL kind of stopped making Vikings there for a while, because he was making 4 at a time for a while and got up to like 6 or 10 Vikings, and then he just stopped.
Right. I mean, it was kind of a decision between, do I make Vikings or do I make medevacs? And he kept losing a lot of medevacs.
Yeah.
If he'd been able to keep those medevacs alive, he probably would have switched entirely into Viking production, but he needed the medevacs to keep his army alive. He needed to be able to stim. He needed to be able to move around the map, and he just was losing way too many medevacs.
Yeah. So overall, a great game. PVT, we will have game number 2 coming up here shortly as soon as the players and the lobby get all set. Everyone's getting good to go, and we'll have that coming up here very shortly. But we do thank you so much for joining us. And before we, while we get that next lobby set up, we do want to once again say a big thanks to Mythologic. They're a semi-local company here. We're at Youmacon 2014 in Detroit. This is the StarCraft 2 tournament, in case you weren't already aware. Mythologic is a company out of Ypsilanti, which is about 45 minutes away or so ago. But they, all across the country at least, maybe even worldwide, they sell a lot of super awesome gaming gear and laptops. Definitely suggest you check them out at mythologic.com. These guys are seriously the best. I've known these guys for a long time. They really support us a lot in the events that we cover, and they've got some really awesome gear. So if you're in the market for a laptop or any kind of gaming gear like that, we definitely suggest you check them out. You can follow them on Twitter, just by searching for Mythologic. They put up $250 for the prize pool today at for this Youmacon StarCraft 2 tournament, as well as some really awesome mice and keyboards and T-shirts. Maybe one game we'll throw on some Mythologic T-shirts and look awesome.
So big thanks to them. And, all their gear is really customizable, too. You can kind of build what you want, which makes them a little bit different than a lot of other PC companies that you'll find. So check out their website. Maybe play around with the type of rigs that you can build, and maybe even order one if you think that you're in the market for a new PC and want to support grassroots organizations that are supporting esports.
Absolutely. With that, our lobby is actually just about set up here. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back in about 30 seconds with the next match. So stay tuned.